Fantastic question, Deepak. I may be a bit of an outlier here, honestly. I think a lot of people are worried about the jobs with AI. Of course, any technology change that happens brings the shifts. Okay. I'm actually less worried about losing the jobs. I'm actually more excited about the jobs it creates. Uh, you know, um, every time there is a technology shift, the way you were doing things before changes. And I'll sort of go back as to the internet days, right?
Mm.
Prior pre-internet and post-internet. Because internet was another one of those.
Welcome to Value Seller Talks with Deepak Bajaj, where we delve into the minds of visionary leaders who are driving transformation across industries. Today, we are honored to host Manish Mangal. Manish currently serves as a Chief Technical Officer for Telecom at Tech Mahindra, managing global business unit of network services. He is responsible for leading global sales, solution, and delivery teams to communication service provider, we call it CSP, mobile operators, and enterprise customer, unlocking the full potential of their network. With an impressive portfolio of 60 US patents and pivotal leadership roles at Sprint, Reliance Jio, and now Tech Mahindra, Manish's journey is a testament to innovation-driven excellence and visionary leadership. He is a perfect mentor. He is a perfect example that if you are a creative, you can do anything. He's always been an active speaker at numerous industry events and stages, and always been a center of global attraction, reflecting his attitude of giving back to the society. And that's what makes Manish Mangal a legendary person. So today we will explore his work, the cutting edge initiative at Tech Mahindra, and what are his insights on the future of telecom and technology. With no further delay, let's kick off the discussion with the legendary and mentor of many, Manish Mangal. So welcome Manish to the Value Seller Talks.
Thank you, Deepak. Excited to be here. Looking forward to it.
Manish, your list of achievements is vast and unmatchable. And I've seen you at various international stages. But we would love to know you as a person. Who is Manish Mangal?
Deepak, it's a privilege actually from where I am sitting today. Uh, the kind of opportunities that I got, especially when I was very early in my career. I had the luxury to work with some of the greatest minds in the industry and the greatest people actually who really invested their time and efforts in coaching me, mentoring me, and giving me the kind of insights that helped me become the person I am. And so my journey is a long one, 25 plus years, but it's really driven by a lot of amazing people that surrounded me. And the opportunity to actually be part of the companies like Sprint, Reliance Jio, and now Tech Mahindra, where innovation is heart and center of their thinking, and always looking to make an impact and make changes in the lives of the people who consume telecom services. And that's really been my journey. I've had the opportunity to be on the technology side where looking at the latest and the greatest, what's coming and how that impacts everything that we do. Understanding actually how to work with clients and create the narratives that help them achieve their objectives. And most importantly, to work with a large group of folks, a lot of them actually very young, upcoming talent, and being able to actually contribute to their journey has been just so many of those things that has contributed to who I am today.
Oh, and definitely you as a role model has inspired millions. And your name, your efforts, your achievement has always been there. So thank you so much for making your life, summary in a very simple words. And definitely it will is going to impact a lot of people who is listening to our podcast. Thank you. 2.5 years, 2.5 decades plus, you know, everything has changed. So how you are driving this innovation in rapidly changing landscape?
It's a great question, Deepak, and let me sort of take a step back because first I really want to share a perspective about what does it mean when we say innovation. Because typically in our minds, when we look at the innovation, we look at when the first smartphone was invented, or when we look at when the first time Graham Bell started the telephone as a basic capability, or the light bulbs in the Einsteins of the world. But I think there is so many more stages to the innovation, right? And there is the sort of a minor, smaller innovation that can happen every day. There is, of course, there are major ones and there are some radical ones that happens in the industry. But to me, what I have found useful is that, instead of waiting for that one large innovation that completely changes everything, it's much more productive actually to look every day and keep looking for improvement and keep looking for changes to be done in everything, whether it's your personal development, whether it is how you serve the client, whether it is in any new technology that is coming in to see what further you can do to improve it, whether in the process of how you use the technology. And very soon you find is that, slowly and slowly, over the period of time, it sort of builds just like the compound interest builds in the financials. The smaller innovation just accumulates and they turn to be something very, very major. And it's almost impossible for anybody to actually take it away from you. So that's sort of my first view around what innovation means. Now coming practically to practicality of it, which is how do you create the culture of innovation? How do you use innovation? How do you work with innovation? Like you asked a question. To me, it starts with the asking yourself the first question, which is what can I change? What can I improve? Where is the status quo that everybody is not seeing that needs to be broken, right? And I think that's the first place that I find the most value is that just change the mindset, because innovation is about mindset first, then everything else that comes after it. Constantly keep looking for what can I do different, what can I do more, what can I do better. And what we do here actually, in Tech Mahindra, we obviously start with the customer first. We always look for, okay, what is our customers' intentions? What is our customers' purposes? And how do I think about things that we are doing for them to help them achieve that better, faster, and whatever it takes to get there for them. And that's really what changes everything. And then you backtrack from there, right? Then you start to look at, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to change in my team? What do I need to change with my partners? And of course, we always focus on technology as the center of the innovation, but I sort of want to take a much broader perspective of technology is one component of it, of course, a very important one, but it's not the only one, and there is so much that goes behind it. Today's day and age, we are talking about AI, right? And it's becoming a center stage for everything. So yes, we will talk even in today's podcast, we'll talk about AI a bit more, I'm sure, but I just want to set this up front that don't think of AI as the sort of technology as the center piece of all innovation. There is so much more that everybody can do outside the technology to be innovative.
Right. So your forte is always a customer first, and the strategy which you follow is always considering the customer at the center point, and then revolving around it. So that's where the innovations and the creativity and I believe it's the engagement also. More we engage with the customer, better we get our direction as well.
Deepak, you said very well, actually. That's in fact one of the biggest mistakes that anybody can do is to assume that they know it all and start solving the problem before understanding the problem itself. And I think just connecting back to the innovation, where I see really uh, the the larger and the deeper you understand the problem statement, the more space and the opportunity for you to innovate. If you sort of box yourself to say that, okay, I get this, small or some component that I get this problem statement and I'm going to just go and help solve that, then you are very locked and very, contained in terms of what you can do. So engagement with the customer, engagement and more conversations. I know we human are social beings. So more we engage, more we talk, more we discover. And more we discover about what's the art of possible, what's the art of things that can be done, there is so much more opportunity to innovate and to help drive solve.
Hmm. Yeah, in one of the podcasts earlier, I came to know that the integrity, right? And the integrity comes with the brand, come with the logo, and what is your intake on that? Like, because customer will not get open with everyone, they only get open with the few selected trusted one. So what is your advice to those companies who are just booming up and but they are unable to make a trust pattern or trust factor with the end client?
Yeah. No, it's a great, I mean, integrity, trust, and value are the three cornerstones in my mind whenever you are engaging with anybody. I mean, it just doesn't have to be customer, but integrity is the first that allows you to establish the trust. Once you establish a trust, then you can create value. If you don't have integrity, you don't have trust, there is no space to create value for your customers or for anybody for that matter. And what does integrity mean actually? Integrity to me is like to be who you are. Okay, to be whole, complete, and be holistic about everything. So what that means is that keep, in the context of the customer that you ask, keep the customer's interest front and center of everything. Okay. We think of integrity as something which is, legal or something that is moral. But to me, absolutely those things. I mean, legal is, absolutely there is law of the land has to be followed. There is not even a question about it. But I think integrity is much bigger than that. I think integrity is really about, are you always thinking about the customer's interest first? Are you always thinking about the commitments that you have made and all your actions are aligned to that commitment? Are you saying things that are really true and what you are doing? And are you doing what you are saying as well? And so integrity is like being very authentic, very, very genuine and whole and complete with regards to what you are doing. And what that does is that it actually allows the person, because we are all humans, it allows the other person to trust that what you're saying, what you're doing is really what you're saying. There is no second face about it. And that makes a huge impact in really allowing everybody around you to open up and have, unfiltered conversation. And that's where you discover the fundamental underlying aspects of who is doing what and what drives them to be able to create value for them. And to me, that's why integrity, trust, and value, they go so hand in hand together, and one builds on the each other. And in your career, and I know you have a lot of young audience here, we jump to value first most of the time. My guidance to all the youngsters that I interact with is that focus on the integrity first. Become the person that you can hold on your own, and everything else will come automatically beyond that.
Very well said. And to the audience, you are listening from the legend. Integrity should be your basic step so that the every fundamental, all the platform, all the layers will come on top of that. So it's a very, very important message. Please take note out of it. Thank you, Manish, for bringing that up. And yes, people forget they bring on the value, they talk on these part, but yes, help us to remember taking the couple of steps back, and integrity is something which most of the companies are missing, and it comes over the time actually. So it is not happening that you just reach there and then the customer will start accepting you. They want you to be persistent as well. Otherwise,
Yes,
it's not they don't want to invest in the short term players.
absolutely, absolutely.
Right. Manish, the 25 years plus, there will be a lot of incidents happen in your career journey as well, which was a nightmare for you, right? Can you help us to tell us like what type of problem the legends also felt in their career?
We all go through the same things. There are times when the environment is very challenging. We have had a few recessions over the time in the last 25 years. The business gets very challenging. One of the hardest thing ever to do as a leader is to have to change the structure of your workforce. And things happen, and there are hardest thing to do as a leader as well is basically is to not have the means and the ability to grow uh, which you are leading the team. So at the end of the day, everybody is depending upon you, and it becomes a responsibility to ensure that you are impacting everybody's life in a positive way. And as a leader, there are hard choices that come in front of you, and those hard choices is the one that defines you, who you are as a person. And coming back, if you maintain your integrity, if you maintain your purposes aligned and right at the time, you would know, the even though you have taken a hard decision, the hard decisions were taken in the interest of best at that point of time. And when I talk specifics, I mean that's just to me that was a more of a generic way to say it, is that it's always tough to be the leader when so many people are depending on you, and it's your moral responsibility, your leadership responsibility to take care of everything that connects with you. But in life, what happens in specifics, the times when it's really a lot of fun to be a leader as well, is that when you can lead towards growth, you can lead towards betterment for folks. And I've had so many folks in my career who interacted with me. They grew along with me. They had a great opportunity to change their life circumstances because of the kind of hard work and the persistent and the talent that they showed, and they got rewarded for it. And those are the fun part. But yes, it comes with its own set of challenges. Then when it's hard times, you have to take those hard calls, and they stick with you for a long period of time.
Yeah, definitely. I still remember, not going in the past, maybe just 15, 16 months back also, with the name coming of the AI, the first thing which came in the mind is, the automation is taking, or the intelligence is taking a lot of jobs. So, so I'm pretty much sure you are also getting such type of, calls from the juniors, or from the colleagues as well. So what is your intake onto that?
It's a fantastic question, Deepak. I may be a bit of an outlier here, honestly. I think a lot of people are worried about the jobs with AI. Of course, any technology change that happens brings the shifts.
Mm,
Okay. I'm actually less worried about losing the jobs. I'm actually more excited about the jobs it creates. Uh, you know, every time there is a technology shift, the way you were doing things before changes. And I'll sort of go back as to the internet days, right?
mm,
Pre-internet and post-internet, because internet was another one of those major technology shift that changed the way humans live forever. Okay. Before internet, if you look at it, there was no Google Maps.
mm,
Okay. And how did we move around? I mean, we had those printed maps that we carried around, right? And we tracked those on the paper. And there was an entire ecosystem of people and jobs that was serving that, right? I mean, those paper had to be printed, that paper, the maps had to be written, and so on and so forth. And somebody has to keep up with those maps all the time, so that if there is new construction anywhere that has happened, the maps get updated. And there is an entire ecosystem of the jobs, as I can call it at that time, right?
yeah.
That changed. Internet came in, Google Maps came in, or other forms of maps came in, and people stopped using those paper maps, right? So yes, some jobs, of course, went away as part of that. But if you look at it, the number of jobs it created is much more exponentially higher than that, right? So to me, I think AI is the same thing. AI, yes, some of the work that we do manually today will not be required anymore. Yeah, so those jobs won't exist. But to use AI will not do things by itself. Somebody will have to use AI. Still has to make it to the productive purpose. Uh, and they will have a whole new set of jobs that will come. What I typically talk to youngsters is about, when the technology shift happens, that's when it becomes the most important to learn. And you if you don't learn, you will be left behind for sure. There is no
Yeah.
question. Okay. And that's every day. But when major technology shift happens, the need for that is much higher, because it will have a dramatic impact for those who don't learn. And the statement that I typically say is that the machines will not replace people, in my mind. The
Mm,
people who know how to use machines will replace people who don't know how to use machines. Okay. So AI is the same way, is that, AI will not replace jobs or people. People who know how to use AI will replace those people who don't know how to use AI. And to me, if there is one message that I can pass, I mean, it's really about, don't be afraid of AI in this specific context. Don't be afraid of AI. Embrace it, learn it, and make it part of your lifestyle. And be first and persistent about it. And the farther, farther you invest, the quicker that you learn about it, you are just going to get ahead of everybody else. And I can promise whoever does that, they will get much farther in their career. So instead of being afraid, actually embrace it. I mean, that's the bottom line that I can say it.
Oh, wonderful message, and that will be giving a very relaxation to most of the youngsters, not even youngster, even the mid or senior people as well, because they believe that the learning has stopped. They have spent 20, 25, 30 years, not 30 is too much, like, but say 20 to 25 years is that age, or that level where the people stop learning. They are becoming more towards the management. But yes, you rightly mentioned, today the world has changed, and those who learn how to use this unleash animal, which is AI, will rule.
Yes. I say the game is over when you stop learning. Doesn't matter at what age you are. If you
True.
are in the game, you got to keep learning. And it doesn't matter whether you are 20 years experience, 30-year experience, 50-year experience. Just the day when you stop learning is the day when the game is over. It just sometimes takes longer to realize it, and then you have no recoverability to that. And sometimes it's much faster. It just depends upon different industry and the different role that you're playing. But yeah, learning is most fundamental. And when major technology shift comes, I get actually the most excited. In fact, in my career, I have always grown every time the technology shift has happened, because I thought it was a great opportunity to learn something new, do something different, and the ecosystem embraces it and gives rewards you for that.
If you allow me, I want to add one more point.
Sure.
Become creative as well. Creativity, there's no limit of creativity, because AI or whatever the tools which are coming, they convert your creativity into the models, which nowadays people are talking about, that actually gives the result. So being creative, and I believe more we are talking with the customer, more refined we are getting, and more problems we are going to solve through our creative approach.
Yeah, no, it's a good point actually. And you started with the question on innovation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the creativity is another word for innovation, right? And creative thinking is just about thinking different, and it's a matter of perspective. And you're absolutely right. I mean, if you keep looking at things from a positive way and say that what's the art of possible here, your mind will be open to a lot different thinking, and the creativity will develop. It's also actually, you brought up a good point. Maybe I'll take a second here, because I hear a lot from the folks that I work with, is that by saying is that, look, I'm not a creative type. Okay.
Mm.
And they feel like people at the young age who could draw very well and, could be artistic, is who creative is. And I always correct them is that being artistic and being creative are two different things.
Mm.
Creativity is not, drawing well. Creativity is really about perspective and thinking different. And so everybody is creative in my mind. We just have to think with a glass half full approach and look for the what's possible. And the minds are such a brilliant thing that they will just give you amazing amount of ability to create. And anybody can be creative effectively.
Thanks for bringing, and this will boost a lot of morale to millions, believe me, because they have some doubt, and actually, such kind words and such wisdom from your side is actually helping them to regain their thoughts and to look into something which they are actually ignoring. Thank you,
Awesome.
thank you, thank you, thank you, Manish. Now, I know this topic can be extended to a longer duration, but I would like to stop here because it will uh, go into the different direction. But want to take your opinion. Like, you are always a leader in telecom and managing global business unit of network services, which is, believe me, which is a very, very complicated thing. So, how you as an individual is gearing up in meeting next generation network demands?
Yeah. Um, I see this in three different lenses, or call it the three legs of the approach. So number one is really keeping an eye on what's happening in the industry. You know, as a leader, the number one requirement for you is to anticipate change. uh, okay, which requires a concentrated efforts and thinking process. So I interact with a lot of leaders in the industry. I interact with a lot of folks, partners, everybody that I can, to really understand what people's perspectives are about what's happening, what's likely to happen, what the scenarios are possible. And that sort of a constant thinking helps me build my own point of views about what's likely to happen, and how should I anticipate change so that everybody that is part of my ecosystem can share with me, and I also can share with me in terms of what do you need to do to deal with this change that is happening, right? So that's the first part of the leadership. The second part of the leadership, in terms of especially going managing this large team, is really hire the best. I'm really, really privileged to have the team that is the world class. I mean, my leadership team in this company, I can tell you, is by far, the most competitive team that I will find in this particular setup in the industry. So that to me is a most important thing, is that hire the people who are much smarter than you, much more accomplished than you, so that they will actually act as a guidance and the light for you in terms of your own ability to think and act. And the third is become an enabler rather than a gatekeeper. If you're managing the teams like the large global teams that I'm managing, you can't be everywhere by yourself. You have to completely trust the team, right? That's why you hire the right set of folks, and become part of the right team. But at the same time, what I also focus on is giving them the tools so that they can act most effectively and become sort of the road cleaner for them. Okay, so things that can become a roadblock that slows them down, keep removing them so that they can run fastest. And that's my simple three step or three legs of the stool approach, allows me to sleep very well.
And I can now easily connect the dots, as you said, that creativity. Now, if you are enabling them, you are actually flourishing their minds to think different. And that's
Yes.
where, so now thanks for giving a live example, and now we are able to bring that what makes you a real legend and a leader in the industry.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, tell us about some of the key milestones which Tech Mahindra has achieved under your leadership. We have seen Tech Mahindra always, on the social media. We have seen a lot of things, but some few achievement which you want to share with us.
Yeah, if you're following Tech Mahindra, we are really fortunate to have the company leadership that has given a thought and direction to our company. And if you have seen the narrative about scale at speed, I think this is a very, very phenomenal way of thinking about what we can do for the customer, because at the end of the day, we are helping our customers scale at speed. Our customers are doing digital transformation irrespective to any industry that you go to. The kind of question that you're asking, every leader in every industry is facing the same question, is that how can I be innovative? How do I deal with the AI revolution that has come already and is going to further accelerate? How do I deal with the global ecosystem and the global geopolitical environment that are happening? All of these questions are common to everybody. And to say, but they also have ambition as a business to scale, and they want to do it faster. And hence, we basically have clearly defined that our purpose is to help them scale at speed, right? That actually gives a lot of thinking and direction to us. But these things don't come just overnight, right? I mean, it's a DNA of the company. And talking specifically about the network services, I joined Tech Mahindra 6 years ago. And at that time, the network service as an industry, from a professional services perspective, was very specific around field services. Go to the site, you deploy, you optimize, and so on and so forth. The networks were becoming cloud native. And I thought, the software and the networks were coming together. And the expertise that is required to build a software defined network really were a very different set of expertise needed. Most of the telecom historically had a very deeper network knowledge, but they were not a software companies per se. So they didn't have the same set of practices as a software company. On the other side, when you look at the IT industry, it's a very software-centric company, but they are not network experts. And thanks to the great visionary leadership in Tech Mahindra at the time, they basically created the network services business unit to say, we are in a perfect sweet spot where we will bring in the power of software because we are an IT company and also create the depth of the network. So we can bring the network and software together and become the force and the catalyst in the industry to drive this revolution and the transformation that's happening in the network space. Since then, it's been an amazing journey. We did the very first cloud native network deployments where how to bring a private cloud for the network work, network functions. We did the same evolution towards public cloud, and there is a lot of public announcements that we have done with the partners in that space. Then came the architectures around Open RAN, where how do you really disrupt the radio ecosystem, which is the most expense that any telecom operators will have, to really drive a disaggregated architecture there. And we were the first one to latch on to that one. We invested into companies at the time. We became part of every greenfield deployment that happened in the Open RAN, right? And then now it's evolving towards operations, which is how do I use AI most effectively to drive the autonomous operations and autonomous networks. And that's another journey that we have taken. We are in the leading position to that. In fact, TM Forum recently just announced the number of certified people that exist in the world, and Tech Mahindra is number one in that. We have got the most expert in the Open Digital Architecture certification, ODA certified. We also are leading the autonomous operations journey. We have got some customer announcement there. So to me, every industry change that has happened with regards to technology or with regards to what the shifts were happening in the industry, we have been the front and the center of it, at times leading it, at times being as a catalyst. And now at that point of time, we are really, really focused on driving the autonomous network and autonomous operations.
And I must say this is just a scratching the surface, and there are so many things and underneath which will come when we start going with the phase one approach, and then the phase two, phase three, and the road is too long for everyone. But yeah, congratulations for the becoming a number one, and these respected esteemed platform like TM Forum, they
Yes,
are
thank you.
actually evaluating globally. And yes, all these innovations and the courage to go there, that is very important, because the most of the people think about the ROI right from the day one. So I'm pretty much sure as a leader you are also getting such type of hard questions internally as well. So what is your approach to those people? What is your advice to those people who are actually are not able to grow and not able to think because of this ROI trap?
See, as a business, you always look for investing in the right places. Okay. The fortunate thing, I would say, right, in today is that we have a lot of areas to invest, a lot of opportunities to invest, a lot of changes are happening. And then the question always becomes, which is how do you measure where to invest? And ROI is a parameter to measure that. Uh, and I don't think as an industry, it's a wrong way to look from an ROI perspective. But I tell you what is really, really important is being true to your purpose, right? And ensure that the actions that you're taking are true to that purpose. Like for an example, when I look at network services business and Tech Mahindra, we have a very clear mission that we want to become the most respected and most valued independent network system integrator for the telecom operators and the enterprise customers. Okay. And I do a lot of emphasis on respected and valued, which means that are we doing things where our customer will respect us? They will respect us for the perspective that we are bringing in. They will respect us for the skills that we are bringing in. They will respect us for the persuasion and the kind of execution capability that we are bringing it, the quality that we are bringing in, and so on and so forth, right? Valued is that are we going to make sufficient amount of impact for them, or if our impact is very minor to them, they will ignore, and they should ignore. But so we do a lot of work in my teams around being centered on our mission, and being very purposeful about it. And so that is very important to me, is that, when you look at how to invest, where to invest, the number one place is that don't deviate from the mission. Don't deviate from what you have described that you want to be known as in the industry for. And then, of course, you make your prudent choices about where it makes sense, the most sense to return the value to your shareholders, because that's also is very important to impact the lives of your teams. More value you create for your customers, the more value you can create for your employees.
Mhm. Uh, Thanks for bringing that important part, that what you have focused first, respect, and the value which we are talking about. So having a true to the mission, true to the purpose, and the world should know about it. Because most of the let me take an example. Most of the low to mid level companies also, they are doing a lot of things, but people don't know about them. They don't know what these guys are doing. And when they are interacting, still there are a lot of gaps which they are not able to bring about their mission, about their vision. Although it looks more over like a MBA, terms, but they are actually creating a lot of value when it comes to the corporate. So thanks for
Yeah,
refreshing all these points again to a lot of people who are listening to us.
absolutely. You can go and look at the startups, and most of the startups are successful when they are purposeful about, and passionate about solving something for the industry. If you have created a startup to make money and to drive revenues, that's the outcome. That's not the input. The input is really be passionate about solving some challenge for the industry, and the rest will follow in itself.
My next question is coming on this value, right?
Hmm.
And your forte is unlocking the value for the CSP and enterprises. So help us to share the some of the strategies and initiatives which you and the Tech Mahindra has developed.
Yeah, value is of course, is a very well studied management term, and every MBA student and every leadership program, everywhere we talk about value a lot. But to me, it's a more about pragmatism of it. The creation of a value is a thoughtful thing to do, and it's sort of a, what's the meaning of it? What's the, you will say something is valuable only if somebody will feel the pain if that's not delivered. Okay, so sometimes the value is in what's delivered, but it's also in the absence of it. What does it mean? So is it going to make a meaningful impact? Okay,
Mhm.
is the first question that I ask. Okay. Every time we're talking about the value creation, we talk about, is it going to create a meaningful enough impact for the customer? Meaning that if my telecom customers are very focused on saying, I have an operating cost challenge, the amount of data traffic that is growing on my network is very exponential, versus the revenues are not growing exponential because the market is not going to pay for more than what they are paying today for just the data traffic. So I have to solve the problem of my operating cost, the OPEX. And if I go to them and say that, okay, great, I have a fantastic idea. I can, create the next generation of an operations transformation, and it will give you 2% reduction in your operating expense. It's not meaningful enough. It's not meaningful enough to get anybody's attention, and hence you have not created value. But if I go with a strategy and say that I can transform and I can give you 40% savings in your operating expense, it's a very meaningful impact and you will get a lot of attention. So that's where the first question comes in, is in every offer that we make, every investment that we make inside the company, we look at and say, is this going to make a meaningful impact for our customer, right? And that's where the fulcrum of the value creation comes in, is that the meaning of it. And then, of course, what is the cost to get the returns? That's the second, always the ROI that you spoke about earlier. Can't escape it, unfortunately, and that has to be a very clearly articulated thing. But then we look at basically to say that, hey, is this going to, to save $10, if it's going to cost 20, it's not going to make sense. Okay.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I have to think through what's the fastest at which I can give the returns for the investment that I would ask. So those are the fundamentals when it comes to value. Uh, at this point in time, I will share. Yeah.
No, thanks for reordering these things in a step-by-step manner. And definitely, the as a creative leader for, or maybe the CX level of most of the companies, they will understand, what is missing, they are missing, and what the reordering they have to do again to make the whole discussion in line, so that at the end of the day, the customer has to see the value, and they should also bring this value with the integrity, so that they are committed for what they are doing. It's not a small short-term money. It's a long-term impact which the companies are going to focus. So thanks for bringing that thing. Uh, I will now focus on the one of the dream which an individual have, specifically having some sort of patents and the IPRs, right? And you hold 60 US patents, which itself is a great milestone. So first of all, courteous congratulations from the Value Seller team. But now we want to know, how do these innovations align with your current projects at Tech Mahindra? And by the way, how you get the time?
Yeah. So, honestly, a lot of these patents came in earlier in my career. For the last 7, 8 years, 10 years, I have not done that many of them. They all came in very early in the career. And I never sat down and said that I want to do a patent. It was never about that. They were the incidentals. Uh, we were always focused on solving a issue, solving a problem. And often what happened was, at that time when we were doing it, we came across and said that, oh, we figured something that is a new and a unique and a different way to solve it. It doesn't look like there is exist any other precedence about how anybody in the industry have solved this way. And then we'll sort of go to our patent lawyer and say, here's a here is a thought, here is a problem, here is what we have done. Do you think this is worthy for us to capture it? Because it's an intellectual property, we should capture it. And then it just happened to be that one. So I think that's another one of those things, is that lot of these things that gets created, they are actually the incidentals, and almost like a side product of what you were doing. We were very focused on saying is that, and in fact, my very early patent, if I remember, in a very early stage, there were two different categories where those patent pools started. One was really around what does it take to integrate data on a cellular network? Because, if you look at late 90s, all the cellular communication at that time was primarily voice only.
Yeah.
And then to say, look, we want to use data because the internet was coming along and mobile internet was needed. We said that how do we integrate data to the same network that is designed only for voice, requires a very significant shift. And also the way voice infrastructure works and the voice traffic works versus the data is very different. And we started to think in that direction, and suddenly the whole lot of new patterns came in, right? There was another whole category of transformation that was happening, which was really around how do you manage a packet voice architecture, because the voice at that time was all circuit switched, and then it was shifting towards voice over IP or voice over ATM even at that time. And then the whole conversation shifted to, okay, how do I manage an architecture like that one? And there was a whole new things. I think at that point of time, the time it took for somebody to understand was a little longer. When I say understand, like replicate or do something. So IPR had a lot more importance and value as well, because you had the time to protect it. In today's day and age, everything gets public and everything gets shared so quickly that the time it takes to get an IPR needs to be much faster. It typically takes 2 to 3 years before actually a IPR can be owned. And if you are somebody that you have created your unique idea, then you need to create the IPR out of it much faster. But yeah, I feel that a lot of those things happened just because we were incidentally solving a problem and we just found a unique and creative way. And you don't need time for that, right? You ask the question is how do you,
Yeah.
and you don't need time for that, because that's what you're doing. You're not sitting down to say, I'm going to do patent. You're sitting down to solve a customer problem, and it just happens to be it. So it just happened. I mean, we are churning patents a week. One patent a week was coming out at that time, is just because we are constantly brainstorming.
Right. So yeah. So if I want to connect the dots, so every problem is unique. So solution is unique, and obviously by default it's going into this IPR category or the filing of the IPR. Uh, so again, pointing back, more you discuss with the customer, more you talk with them, more you engage with them, more you interact with them, and more you get a hard time from them also, because that will help you to think over and over in a very narrow and a laser type focus. That will create a lot of opportunities. And IPR, just as you rightly mentioned, is a side product, you know.
Yes.
But it means that you are doing something really good, which is no one has done so far, and definitely everything will flourish as the time moves on. So and I was just trying to ask how many more numbers we are going to get in this year. So I'm pretty much sure that the number will be too much.
No, it's a right now I don't have any, just to be honest, I don't have any patent in the pipeline. I think a lot of my teams do. So I'm very happy that they are continuously inventing, continuously evolving. But to me, it's again a unique privilege to actually be part of the team that is really focused on solving the problems of the customers in a very creative way all the time.
uh, Teams. Now that itself raises another question in my mind, that how you foster culture in TechM, which has a diversified teams, which and these teams are actually encouraging with such type of groundbreaking contributions.
That's the most fun part, I tell you, Deepak. In my role, if I say what's the most fun is really working with the group of folks who are so passionate, so culturally diverse, so geographically diverse, and just an amazing set of folks. And really, it all comes down to being genuine. I believe that we have created a great mission for ourselves. Our customers love it. They really want us to fulfill on our own mission for the sake of their own objectives. And my team is very passionate about it. Of course, they are very talented and very capable as well. And what I focus on from a culture perspective is primarily two or three things. One is openness. Okay. Openness of conversation, genuinity. There is no hard walls. Let's just talk about anything and everything that we need to talk about with a one and only one intention is to only get better all the time. So I really have a open door policy. Anybody and everybody can talk to me in the company, and we really create that and foster that kind of an environment where openness is front and center of everything. Second thing is, I already spoke about the integrity part, which is integrity is non-negotiable. It's something that has to be done and zero tolerance for that. The third thing is creation of value, is that don't do anything for the sake of doing it. Do it because you're creating value for somebody. Okay, it could be value for customer, value for your team, value for your partners, value for yourself or anything, but do that creates value purposefully all the time. And the last and the most important thing is inclusiveness, which is be a great listener. Everybody comes with a different perspective. There is no right and wrong perspective. There is only effective or ineffective perspective for the purpose that you are working for. So be a good listener, listen to everything, understand what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and be judicial about the actions and the decisions that you take. But be very inclusive and very supportive of everybody's point of view. And that gives to your earlier comment that, more and more you engage with everybody, the more you learn and more you learn, the more you appreciate and more you are able to actually take better judgment calls.
And that's the reason you mentioned in your earlier answers that you are an enabler, and all these points are actually enabling your team with open door policies, and you know there's zero tolerance if something is going beyond the integrity. So that's make and guys, if you really want to grow big, and those who are in the low to mid level scale, definitely invest in your teams. Give them that hand holding that actually help you to grow and foster and scale up like anything. And Manish, thank you for bringing these important words, because now the people are thinking that with the help of AI, they don't require people. You need people, because if you don't delegate, you can't grow.
And 100%.
Uh, Open RAN. I'm sure this is also close to your heart because this is something a groundbreaking innovation which has come into. So I want to understand what is the future of Open RAN, and it has already been there from last few years now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a every technology shift that happens takes a little time to
Mm,
become mainstream, and primarily because it has to coexist with everything else, right?
mm,
What is Open RAN? Open RAN is fundamentally disaggregating the architecture, right? It's disaggregating the cloud infrastructure with the radio function and how you automate and manage the function. If you sort of divide on those three layers in terms of the vertical, and then horizontally it's also disaggregating your antenna and the radio systems can be from somebody else, your software can be from somebody else, your backhaul and everything. So you just sort of disaggregating every component to allow for more and more innovation to come, and that's always been an intent. But if you were building a network from scratch today, there's not
mm,
even a question that Open RAN is the way to do it. And you can see that into last 4 or 5 years, every new network greenfield build that happened in the world is basically Open RAN focused, Open RAN architecture. The challenge is always really around how do you coexist with the existing architecture, right? And that's where it's going to take a little longer time. And as a technology shift happens, as the older technology gets end of life, and then you replace with the new technology, suddenly the open RAN architecture will become de facto. And few years from now, when we are sitting here, we might be talking about, look, 50% of the total world's network has turned into open RAN by
mm.
just virtue of continuous evolution and transformation. So to me, that's a journey. That's a sort of a train has started in that direction. It will never stop. It will go, just keep going in that way.
So what I'm saying that from the openness perspective, when it started, it comes with a lot of criticism, and definitely you rightly mentioned the coexistence is a challenge. But definitely, I'm pretty much sure. And as you are, you are also promoting this open RAN ecosystem because that's where the innovation comes. So we believe that it has a long way to go, and 50% of the networks coming there, it's a big statement. So it's a very boost for most of the innovators who are working to make the system open and smarter as well.
That's my wish. I wish that 50% will become open RAN. I don't know how long will it take to get there, but my main point was that the architecture is fundamentally and permanently shifted. Everything new will need to be an open RAN. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Let's see how the market works. But yes, it's come with a interesting and a lot of new innovation which the world is expecting. Now, AI ML we always talk about, right? So I'm very much curious to understand how TechM is integrating AI ML into the 5G services or the network services and beyond.
Yeah, AI is becoming now front and center of everything, right? So, like I was saying earlier, is that now it has become the question of how do you use it? So,
Mm,
if I look at the network life cycle, right, there is network planning, network design, to network deployment and optimization to network operations, sort of an entire life cycle. We have now AI infused in everything. How do you do network planning with AI? It allows you to actually look at, where my traffic is, where my customers are using it, what kind of a demographic shifts is happening. So there is a ton of data that is starting to become available, right? And it was always available. Now AI is able to synthesize the data better to say, if I had to put a new cell tower anywhere in the market, what's the most optimal position to do it? And AI can actually create that sort of an insight. So we have solution like Smart CapEx that allows you to look at where is the best location to put it. So your network planning gets better. Network design becomes better because now you are able to create digital twins that allows you to anticipate what will happen if there is a storm that comes in, if there are tsunamis that come in, unfortunate wildfire situations, all the natural disasters that may come in. At the same time, you want to make sure that you have designed the network for protecting the communication infrastructure so that especially in those kind of unfortunate situations, so you took look at all different scenario planning, and AI can help you actually create the digital twins of the network that allows you to say, how do you design the network for a higher level of resiliency and survivability, right? network operations, and even network deployment. Before I go to the operations page, network deployment, there is so much automation that is being brought in terms of how do I manage the end-to-end life cycle of supply chain, because deployment is really a collaboration across a large ecosystem of players, from uh, material coming from some place, somebody generating the BOQ, somebody generating the bomb, right? PO gets generated, the material gets ordered, dispatched. There's a whole process that happens before the deployment can happen. And AI can help you predict the bottlenecks. Okay, where exactly is the likely delays that can happen? And also layer on top of it the geopolitical scenarios that are going in that can potentially cause some disruption. So you can plan around that and make your deployment risk to go layer. And in the operations, of course, we are seeing the largest impact because there is a ton of operations data that is coming in. When there is a fault in the network, when there is an incident to manage, how do you leverage all the data to be able to create a better intelligence and better predictability? So now I see sort of in our world, and definitely in everything that we do at Network Services, AI is sort of an integral part of everything. It's infused inside every offer that we do. And we have packaged all of that together into a platform called NetOps.ai, which is really our marquee product accelerator. It's not a product as an OEM product, but it's an accelerator where we take all our AI knowledge, all our network knowledge, and bundle it all together to really help our customer, design the end-to-end network lifecycle.
Wow. So now that's the statement, the AI is everywhere is reality.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason, and that's become a baseline in the platform while how the networks are becoming smarter. And smarter
Absolutely.
network bring more customer delight.
100%. 100%.
Right. And I'm again, it's a long topic, and AI itself is a big thing. There are so many use cases, but definitely I will park your time for the next time as well to discuss specifically on that. But I'm very much interested. I have gone through a lot of events where you are a main speaker. You are always vocal on hyper automation and service orchestration. So how it is needed for the customer, and what benefit the TechM customers are getting out of it from the TechM suite of platform and the services.
Yeah, no, automation is, I mean, I always say that in our industry, it takes 3 to 5 years to bring any technology to life. The time from incubation to actually usability, which means that somebody sat in some place and thought about an idea, and by the time the customers are using it, is a long cycle. You first invent, then you go through the 3GPP or some standard cycle. Then once the standards are ratified, then you go to the product development, then product happens. After the product, then you go to the deployment and integration and all. It's a long process, right? So to me, the purpose of the hyper automation was to shrink that cycle and get from incubation to the usability or the consumption within a 6 to 9 months. If that we achieve, then the innovation can move faster. Anything more than 12 months, you cannot anticipate what the market conditions will change, what the customer expectations will change. Hence, it's very important to experiment with the innovation faster. And that's why I'm so bullish on hyper automation. And now AI is going to help that further acceleration, right? Because AI will allow you to do more predictability about it. So you don't have to do everything as a trial and error. You can already anticipate certain scenarios and shortlist the ones that we really have to focus on.
And definitely this will remain the baseline, and a lot of application. Again, we talk about XApps, RApps. I'm pretty much sure there are so many other things also coming to there that will reside on it to give a real-time outcome.
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Right. So we mentioned about the teams, right? So there are some challenges also which you may be facing, while handling 1,000 of people, right, under your leadership. So what will be the message which you want to share with the entrepreneurs, the business owners who are actually trying to scale up but not able to do so because they want to control everything by their own, and the teams are separated across geographies?
You said it in your question itself, is that control on your own is where you don't want to be the one with the bottleneck. Okay. I think there is value to governance, but the governance has to be light governance, and it has to be enablement at the core of your leadership principle. if you want to scale, you have only 24 hours in a day. And however smart anybody is, there is still 24 hours and there is only so much you can do. So the number one requirement for the scale is to build the solid teams, a trusting teams that you can trust, and then enable them to let them actually do the scaling and keep driving the vision, keep driving the ambition to be bigger than what your stomach can ever handle, because you're always chasing something that you really want to chase. And it's amazing how humans can do things which is way above and beyond their perceived capability. And that's the role of a leader, is to bring the best in everybody in their teams. And my thinking is very simple and straight on that one, which is give a vision that is exciting to accomplish, give a team that is very capable and much smarter than I am, and then just become an enabler to help them achieve the goals.
Hmm. Uh, Thank you for bringing, because these are the important words which people miss during their day-to-day activities. And the scalability will only come when you have a solid team, and that's your responsibility to make that team solid. So
Absolutely.
nothing will come ready-made. You have to invest, you have to help them and ready for accepting the mistakes, because they're also learning.
And they're human. All of us are human.
All of us are human, right? Uh, in the interest of time, I will go to the only the couple of questions, and specifically, which is again on the technology. So when we are talking as of today, with the network as a platform and Gen AI capabilities are the new buzzwords, right? And everyone is talking about the different flavors of it. So what excites you about the future of the telecom using these buzzwords or these real technologies in hand?
Yeah, no, these are transformative technology. Gen AI particularly actually is very, very transformative because it's translating data into human language, right? It's not that data was not available before. A lot of data was available, but now the ability to access the data through human language is amazingly powerful. And in the networks, in the telecom world, we are finding it all over the place. How do you do the customer care? There is a ton of ways to engage with the customer doing that. In the network operation space, there is a ton of ways in terms of how you can leverage the Gen AI capabilities to do that. But I think we are just starting. I mean, this Gen AI is only 1.5, 2 years old when it became popular with ChatGPT, right? Of course, it has taken a longer, from an invention perspective. It's not like it got invented just yesterday. But it's very clear that some of these innovations have taken shape over the period of time and now going to take further and further shape. So to me, I'm just excited about the opportunity to use them more and more. I'm already seeing some fantastic things that we are doing with the customers on that already. But we are just starting. I think it's going to be a great ride.
We all are very hopeful, because now the it has opened the plethora of the thought processes. Because if something can be done here, then what next? What next? And that's where the hunger has started,
Absolutely.
right? And Manish, you are a role model for many. So, what advice would you like to give to young professionals and aspiring technology leaders?
I think for anybody, I'm not just talking about the younger generation, and particularly actually for the younger generation, this is the most exciting time in the history of humankind. We are most technologically advanced generation, and the use of technology has never been as much now as it has ever been in the history, and it will only increase from here. So if anybody who's a young chap today or a young gal, I think it's a fantastic privilege to be that. You have a great future. The standard of living is better than ever in the humankind. So enjoy that, embrace that, be on that journey. Technology is a friend. Use the technology to your advantage. But all these things will change. Technology today is one, tomorrow will be something different. What really matters is that how you think and act, which is basically, be authentic, be genuine with humility, always keep looking to learn and always keep looking to add value. Keep looking to say, what can I do better? What can I do, for somebody else? and be a great listener for that. So there are so many things that we spoke through during this podcast,
Yeah.
but to me, I feel that the next 10-15 years, which is hopefully what part of my career left, is that it's going to be an exciting times. And for everybody who is a younger generation, it's a great time ahead. Embrace it, love it, enjoy it.
Fantastic message. And that's the time where they can bring a real creativity. They can they have a different challenges, and definitely the creativity with the help of technology can create wonders. And the world is waiting for them to come forward, take a step forward. And yeah, that's where the whole journey continues, the next level journey.
Absolutely, Deepak.
But thank you, Manish, so much for an inspirational conversation. And this is eye-opener for me as well personally. So your insight into the future of telecom, role of innovation, and Tech Mahindra's role in transformative the whole industry, not one industry, but whole gamut of the industry, is truly enlightening. Before we conclude, Manish, any message you want to share with our audience?
Oh, I just say that, like I was saying earlier, is that it's a great time in our lifetime to be at. Just enjoy it, embrace it, surround yourself with great people. Always be, serve with humility, learn, enjoy. I think I can't say anything more than that, Deepak. It's a privilege personally for me to be part of the team that I'm here at Tech Mahindra. I know it's a great feeling to have, and I really enjoyed your podcast.
Thank you so much for the compliment, and thanks for sparing your time. I know it's a very busy time for you, but thanks for sharing all the insights and the learnings with us.
My
Thank you.
pleasure, Deepak. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So to our audience, until next time, this is Deepak Jas signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.